It's a Conspiracy is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported. For a list of other fun programming, please check out the albertapodcastnetwork.com, where you can find shows like Metro Cinemas Presents Close Up.
It's the Dino-mite Dinosaur Special with Dino Ryan. All right, so welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today more than usual, and will probably be wrong about everything that I'm going to present because I'm overwhelmed at the thought of summer vacation already being halfway over. I'm not really ready to talk about that, but like July went by way too fast. And frankly, I think it's about time that we get a convoy together to be like, let's right this wrong. July goes by too fast. You guys know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're jet setting all over the place, bud. I've seen the pictures.
It's been busy, but like, why does July go by so fast? January takes forever, and July is like slow, cold molasses. No, wait. Other way around.
You got that.
July is like hot molasses. Yeah.
Right.
Like fast, hot molasses.
Yeah, whatever the fast molasses is. Yeah. That's a terrible analogy.
Water?
I wish it was the other way around is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, okay. So you guys know what I mean. Okay, so as always, if you'd like to see where we found the snappy-jawed sauropods we have hiding in the tall grasses outside of the headquarters, then please do take a look at the notes in the episode description. Charlie spends his days toiling over that, putting them in one by one, and it is only right that you take a moment to appreciate the fruits of his labor. For example, he's got a beautiful set of kiwis on him, and you can enjoy those as much as you like in the episode description. Now, and we are a very proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Yay team, yay friends, yay squad. And you can check us out at itsaconspiracypodcast.com. Our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the social media influencer, Scottish Madman. Our Facebook group, our Instagram page, It's a Conspiracy Podcast. That's run by Gorgeous Greg. Our email and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Oh, yeah. Now, righty then. Joining the online distance communication time today is Wing Commander Charlie Scream and our good friend Dino Ryan. Yeah.
I like it.
Ryan.
Now, Dino Ryan, you were last featured in our Lethbridge special a few years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
How long has it been?
I was just going to say it was before the pandemic, so it feels a lot longer than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was in the before time.
The before time.
Yeah. And these chuckle buckets, they're going to interject as they see fit. And I just appreciate their online digitally distanced company, right in my hearts. Now, investigators, let's do this. Charlie, with a RAR or a NAR, can you tell us if you're familiar with these three topics here?
RAR, let's get into it, bud.
All right, number 1, 10 fun facts about dinosaurs.
What? Mar, maybe? Mar?
A Mar, okay, Mar. I'll take that.
They would say.
Number 2, Bone Wars.
Ooh, are we talking about some specific series of videos I might have stashed somewhere in my bunker?
Videos about dinosaurs.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to say NAR.
Okay.
I think this is something different. Let's say NAR.
And then this one here, you'll have to correct me, Ryan, if I don't present this correctly. So 5.
I will.
Yeah, 5 nitpicks about dinosaurs and how they're portrayed in the media.
Well said. Yeah.
Certainly NAR. Certainly NAR.
Certainly NAR. Okay. All right. So subject number 1. This is 10 fun facts about dinosaurs.
Clever girl.
All right. So Webster's dictionary defines dinosaurs as any of a group of extinct, often very large, mostly land-dwelling reptiles that lived millions of years ago. Okay, that's a little vague. Now, the word dinosauria, and as usual, my pronunciation is going to be just spot on throughout this entire thing.
You're good so far.
Dinosauria. This is rooted in Greek, and in pop culture, sort of like generally speaking, it has been translated as terrible lizard. But the scientific definition gets a little more complicated complicated than that. I don't want to get too much into it because I think Ryan's going to touch on this with a lot more info in his brain than myself. So the truth is, there's still dinosaurs today.
Ooh.
And they're not terrible or large. So, for example, Charlie's favorite dinosaur, Barney,
Hey.
he's a purple T-Rex, and he's about as friendly as it gets, right?
Don't tell me what my favorite dinosaur is, bud. I'll tell you later.
Now, speaking of Charlie's favorite dinosaur, Barney, I acknowledge that there are probably one or two scientific flaws with his representation, and that in truth, he probably would have eaten all the children rather than singing songs in the sharing circle. But, we'll just kind of get back to that. So, Charlie, Barney's not your favorite dinosaur?
Sadly, no.
Okay. All right. Getting ahead of ourselves here.
Bud. You should really give me a call before you write my favorite name of dinosaurs or movies or whatever you decide is my favorite thing of the week, like you tend to do.
Well, you've got
dinosaurs are a really personal thing too. Everybody's favorite dinosaur is like, whew.
It's touchy. And we are going to get to that in opinion time, but Charlie's got that Barney poster right behind him. So I just assumed he was a big fan. All right. Okay. So fact number 1. Would you believe that dinosaurs were reptiles that lived on Earth from about 230 million years ago to about 65 million years ago? So people kind have only been on Earth about 2.5 million years. This means that dinosaurs were around about 64 times longer than the Beach Boys have been around. I get around. Oh, no. Oh, timing spectacular. Number 2. Would you believe that dinosaurs lived on all continents, including Antarctica? That's where Santa lives.
That's how they got the Santosaurus.
The Santosaurus, yeah.
Of course.
That's Antarctica's on the bottom.
Where Santa lives, yeah.
Where Santa lives, right? Okay.
They flip every now and then.
Lives and loves.
Another episode.
Yeah. Number 3. Would you believe that the earliest named dinosaur found so far is the Eoraptor? Eoraptor. This was a carnivorous beastie about the size of a German Shepherd. I'm not exactly sure why German Shepherds are the unit of measurement here, but it was about the size of a German Shepherd. However, another dinosaur has recently been found in Madagascar that dates as being about 230 million years old. This dinosaur has not been named yet, and I would like to suggest Snappy McSaurus.
I don't know. That's pretty good, but what about Old Assaurus?
Okay, that'll work as well.
Write in and tell us what you think should be let's do a poll.
Now, number 4, would you believe that no one knows exactly how long a dinosaur's lifespan was? So some scientists speculate that dinosaurs lived for as long as 200 years. I wouldn't want to be that close to the birthday cake. Oh, woo.
Oh, nice. Well, what's interesting about that, though, is dinosaur bones have growth rings in them.
Like trees.
Yeah. So we can often measure their age around the time of death. Like 30 would have been a pretty old T-Rex. I think Sue was around that. Just by measuring growth rings, they can give it a. What's more amazing to me about that, though, is the growth rate from baby to a year old was massive.
Like how small did they start off? Like one shepherd size?
The dinosaur that Lethbridge is most famous for is a duck-billed dinosaur called Hipparchosaurus. And the embryo of this thing was about the size of your pointer finger, or the embryonic leg bone would have been about the size of your maybe pinky finger, just really small. And that would have been a baby. And then by 1 year, their shin bones were 3 feet.
Wow.
So it grew a lot in that first year.
In the first year.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
They were huge.
Those are going to be some growing pains.
Yeah. Actually, number 5 here. Would you believe that a newborn human baby has a bigger brain than most adult dinosaurs had? So whales and dolphins have the biggest brains of all the living animals. And also whales and dolphins, they originate from Finland.
No.
Okay.
They already used the sad
6.
trombone. There.
Speaking of whales, number 6. Would you believe that the blue whale is bigger than any dinosaur at 33 meters? Well, hello there. I know these are terrible.
No, it's great. Keep going.
Number 7. Would you believe that in the 1993 movie, one of Charlie's top 10, Jurassic Park, there is only 15 minutes of dinosaur footage. So there's 6 minutes of CGI, 9 minutes of animatronics. I love those snappy puppets. They're so fantastic. And also just kind of a bonus fun fact here. That movie really scared me as a kid. I don't know about you guys, but when the foot came down in the mud.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh boy. Number 8. Would you believe that the biggest flying reptile was the Quetzalcoatlus? I think is how you say that there. It had a wingspan of up to 12 meters, and that's more meters than parking in downtown Edmonton.
Just going to superload these.
Yeah, you just better get them ready.
Drops for you, but
like the sound of gold coins being dropped, I think is what you're looking for there.
The way to think about Quetzalcoatlus' size is that when it was standing on the ground, it was taller than a giraffe.
Goodness.
And then would launch into the air and fly away.
That's huge.
They're neat.
Would you believe that? Oh, this is okay. This is number 9. Would you believe that dinosaurs had massive fleas with beaks the size of a modern horse needle, and they could drain the blood from a German Shepherd in like one suck, one puncture suck. Yeah.
And there's that German Shepherd thing too. Again.
Yeah. So I personally would like anyone to keep that in mind if they're like, suggesting that it would be cool to travel through time and visit the dinosaurs. One of those things landing on you, like,
yeah, you're gonna be a Capri Sun.
This is number 10. Would you believe that due to the Earth's rotation slowing down, the dinosaurs would have had a shorter workday at the height of their rule? So a day would have been about 22 hours long. So that's good news for anyone who has a case of the Mondays. Yeah. No, that's 10 real fun facts. So if you didn't have fun with that, then I hope a giant flea with a sword attached to its face attacks you and drains all of the blood like you're a giant meat-filled Capri Sun. That's right. I said it.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I sure had fun.
What a horrible way to die. A giant flea sucking all your juices out. Like, yeah. Those poor German Shepherds.
Well, that's what happens to me anytime I go out into the woods anyways. I don't know why, but mosquitoes love me. 5 minutes in the woods. Like, it's a great way to lose weight really fast.
Too bad it's just blood weight.
Yeah, it's true. Just all my blood.
All righty. Well, yeah, I guess that's going to take us to what are we drinking?
What are we drinking? Well, this time I'm drinking Clock Out Lager from SYC Brewing Company. Classic beer for the end of a day or end of the week. This ultra crushable lager is light, crisp, and clean. Brewed with choice Pilsner malt and balanced with subtle citrus and floral hop bitterness, this lager is the perfect way to enjoy your me time. Clock Out Lager, SYC, delightful.
Yeah.
Andy, have we talked about this one before?
I don't think we have, but I do like SYC. I have a tendency to call it sick still by accident.
You know what? I'm not sure who's right, you or me. It might be sick brewing, bro. Either any way you say it, it's delicious.
I have I'll just share this here with you guys because the can has dinosaurs on it. Okay. Can I share, Charlie? Is that okay with you?
I'll allow it.
Be careful about what tab I share. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so Dinosaur.
Nice.
And isn't that great?
Mm-hmm.
So once again, I mean, I say this pretty much on every episode. I'm like, if you put a dinosaur on the can, I'm going to buy it. Like whatever's in it,
like it can.
Yeah, totally. And it just these craft breweries with their sweet cans.
Mm.
So this is a Dinosaur blackberry sour from Phillips Brewing. And the description here is Dinosaur Blackberry Sour Ale packs a delightfully tart bite, soured with house-cultured lactose-strained blackberries and pre- and post-fermentaceous period, balancing sour flavors with fresh berry sweetness. Some tricky words in there. Fermentaceous? Are they saying that just because it's dinosaur related?
I don't think that's a real word.
Yeah, that's not. Okay, so speaking of scientific legitimacy, but yeah, no, it's good. It is very sour. I do like sours, but yeah, like blackberry sour, mwah. And anything from Phillips, you can take that to the bank. It'll be good. Alrighty. So Ryan, what are we drinking?
I'm drinking a Spectrum Ale from the lovely land of Lethbridge. Skyfire Amber Ale. I chose it for two reasons. Skyfire, because when the dinosaurs died, and amber, because it's what brought them back.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
It works.
Beauty.
Works really good. It's a delicious beer.
Skyfire is such a great name. Like that's
It sounds so epic. It's like this beer is going to change your life.
Sounds like a James Bond movie title.
Skyfire.
Exactly.
Now, is that who makes that, Ryan? That's a Lethbridge,
Spectrum Brewery, yeah.
Spectrum Brewing. Okay.
There's quite a few nice breweries down here right now that are churning out some delicious beers.
Well, that's going to take us to advertisement number 1.
This episode of It's a Conspiracy is brought to you by Taproot Edmonton, which publishes curiosity-driven stories, topical newsletters, and locally focused podcasts, all in the service of informing Edmontonians about their community. Want to start your day informed? Check out The Pulse, Taproot's new daily news briefing. The Pulse tells you what you need to know about Edmonton every weekday morning. You'll get short, informative updates about what's happening in City Hall, plus coverage of business, tech, food, the arts, and more. You'll also get a little bit of whimsy from features such as A Moment in History, Chart of the Week, and the Friday Podcast Pick. And it's free. Sign up today at taprootedmonton.ca/pulse. That's taprootedmonton.ca/pulse.
Alrighty, we are back, and we are at subject number 2, the Bone Wars with Dino Ryan.
Bone Wars.
The Bone Wars. Yeah, so this goes way back to the late 1800s with these two paleontologists, these two early scientists, a guy named Edward Drinker Cope, which I don't think he drank a lot. But
Was that his name or his nickname?
No, that was his name.
Edward Drinker in quotations.
Cope, right?
Cope.
And then the other guy's name was equally as epic, Othniel Charles Marsh. These two guys, Cope was from Philadelphia, so he was working with the Academy in Philadelphia, the Academy of Sciences. And Marsh was a Yale boy, so it ended up being a university versus like college versus college sort of battle as well. And these guys went into the Western United States and to dig up dinosaur bones. They started off as pretty good buddies and they worked together. And then what happened was that when Cope was out west at a dig, Marsh convinced Cope's delivery guys to deliver all the bones to Marsh. So he stole all these discoveries from Cope.
What?
And then Cope sort of found out about it, and then their friendship dwindled and they started disliking each other.
I mean, that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah. Quite strongly. And it led to this like obsession on Cope's end with destroying Marsh, which then got Marsh equally interested in destroying Cope. So these two went on this rivalry that became very public, and it left them both destitute and broke. And they died with nothing except their lingering fame as discoverers of some of the most famous dinosaurs: Stegosaurus, Brontosaurus, Allosaurus, Apatosaurus, all of these dinosaurs.
Some big names.
A lot of the sources, yeah. Together, the two of them discovered 135
Wow.
of dinosaur and thousands of other like fish and stuff. And they did it so fast. What's funny is that at this time, you got a lot of fame finding dinosaurs. So these guys would rush out west, dig up as many dinosaurs as they could, bring them back, and make a big show of it, put them up in their museums and bring people in, and they got all sorts of fame and fortune from it. So it didn't take long for them to really start messing with each other more. And one time Marsh was out and he discovered this bone bed near Morrison. And today the Morrison Formation is one of the most famous in the world. And so he heard about this bone bed and started digging up all these amazing finds. And then Cope found out about this bone bed. And so he brought his group out, and they were excavating fairly close to each other, and then they started messing with each other. So Cope would go into Marsh's camp and plant fake bones, and they would spy on each other to see where they were going and what they were finding and what was the discovery of the day. And they would try to sabotage it and make sure that it couldn't be sent back out east to be, examined and all that. And this kind of went on back and forth. And then it didn't even end when they got back to the east, where they would get the dinosaurs prepared, because then Marsh would delight in going into Cope's museum and being like, hey, that plesiosaur that you have on display, you put the head on the tail. And he would make this big article that would go out. And then Cope would try to find all the mistakes in Marsh's papers, and they fought bitterly back and forth. There was even a story once of Cope finishing up a dig site in Montana and destroying bones to prevent Marsh from finding them when he left. And
if I can't have them, no one can.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They did everything they could to absolutely destroy each other. And it went on for years, including an event where their workers, they had these hired workers at each camp that would excavate the bones, and they would even try to poach each other's workers and try to get them to work for them. And these workers even developed the antagonistic attitude, and they try to sneak into each other's camps. And so they had to up the ante. They bring some guns, and there were shots fired across between the two. And there was all kinds of stuff. And the military stuff was there for other reasons too, because these guys were all trampsing about the Sioux people's territory. So they would bring the army with them to keep them at bay. And that's one of the reasons that he started losing so much money. So Marsh actually got the idea, instead of being antagonistic towards the Aboriginal people, he actually struck up a deal with Chief Red Cloud of the Dakota. And so they gave him access to their land freely. And the only thing he asked for in return was that Marsh go back and lobby the Grant government on the behalf of the Dakota people, which he did. He actually went back and brought stories of the unfair treatment and some of the things that were going on to Ulysses S. Grant. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, having all those guns around, they put them to use. From what I've heard, it was just pot shots across the river at each other. Yeah, it went on. They got back and they started writing. When they got too old to dig, their letters back and forth in scientific journals kind of ticked everybody else off. So all the other paleontologists and geologists around the world got kind of sick of hearing about these guys, and they got blacklisted from everything. And so they died destitute. And it got so bad. Cope's last wish was that his skull be measured against Marsh's to see who had the bigger skull and the bigger brain. right to the bitter end.
Wow.
They would not give up. But what's kind of funny, the lasting legacy of this battle is that the work that both of them did was so shoddy that it's taken us 120, 130 years to go back and say, oh, wow, this is the wrong head. This is the wrong spinal cord. This is the wrong this. And they made so many mistakes that there's been a lifetime of paleontology just to fix it.
You said that they were like pumping out dino after dino.
Yeah, they were
such a rush. Here's another guy, and check out this guy. I mean, I put them together, probably right.
Probably right. Well, the most famous story is probably Brontosaurus. Everyone grows up hearing Brontosaurus.
Sure.
And the Brontosaurus was an animal that Marsh had found, but he put the wrong skull on it. So they had to rename it Apatosaurus when they found the right skull. And then actually, it was only about 10, 15 years ago, somebody was looking and said, actually, the one with the wrong skull belonged to an animal, completely different animal than what we thought. So it's now Brontosaurus again. So there is a Brontosaurus.
Oh, wow.
It's like the Pluto of the dinosaur world.
That's right. But it got its station back. Good. So it's kind of exciting. But those kind of mistakes are the lasting impact that they had. And those dinosaurs, like the most famous dinosaurs, what kid doesn't know what a Stegosaurus is?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Was found by these two crotchety old men
shooting at each other.
You're never getting my dinosaur bones.
Oh. Andrew, when I die, measure my skull.
Okay, I will. I promise.
See if it was bigger than Greg's skull. I want to make sure I have the biggest skull.
Oh,
Well, it ties into phrenology, right? Which was big at the time. They thought the size of the brain had to do with your intelligence and all that.
yeah.
Well, that totally adds up because I have a giant head. So I choose
Yeah,
to
me
believe
too.
this.
I've got a bit of a watermelon head myself, so maybe. Alrighty. Well, that's really cool, man. The Bone Wars.
Yeah.
And Charlie's probably a little disappointed that didn't go.
I've just learned something new. I don't know.
If you want to know more, actually, Michael Crichton wrote a really good book about it.
Is it called Jurassic
I was
Park?
gonna say, was it called Jurassic Park?
Dragon's Teeth, I think.
Dragon's Teeth.
I think that's what it's
Cool.
called. I'm probably wrong. But yeah, really good kind of novelization of the events.
Oh, hey, just a quick editor's note here. Hey, hi, sorry. Dragon Teeth is, it tells the story of Drinker Cope and Marsh, and also includes Wyatt Earp and a surprise appearance from Robert Louis Stevenson. Okay. Published posthumously in 2017, and some good times. All right. Okay, you take her easy. Okay.
Well, that's interesting. Well, here's the thing. I feel a little bit of a missed opportunity here, and Andrew, feel free to edit this in later. But I feel like when we started talking about this, we should have said like Bone Wars,
Please.
because it's got a way bigger thing. You know.
Yeah, we can definitely all. Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you heard that at the beginning, and you just heard where I got that from. So that'll be. Wow, that's time. That's time. Okay, cool. That is going to take us to advertisement number 2.
This episode of It's a Conspiracy is brought to you by Pod Power. With Pod Power, our sponsors are making it possible for us to amplify the voices of Albertans and Alberta podcasters. This episode, Edmonton Community Foundation, is helping us give a Pod Power shout out to Bookwomen. Bookwomen is a podcast about editing, publishing, and writing Indigenous stories. 3 Métis librarians representing nations from across the homeland aim to inspire Indigenous people to share their stories in whatever form that they enjoy. Guests include Indigenous storytellers from diverse mediums like podcasting, burlesque, books, comics, social media, films, music, and everything in between. You can listen and find out more at bookwomenpodcast.ca.
Hey, alrighty. So we are back. Here's subject number 3: 5 nitpicks about dinosaurs and how they're portrayed in the media. Okay.
Why'd you say it like that?
Right.
Why don't you just say 5 nitpicks about dinosaurs?
I'll try. Okay, so 5 nitpicks about dinosaurs and how they're portrayed in the media. Woo!
There you go. A bit of vibe.
Put a little jazz on it,
Saucy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one thing about dinosaur nerds, we're nitpicky. We're like comic book nerds.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar. If you don't know the latest discoveries and don't incorporate them, then oh boy, look out. You're going to be embarrassed.
You're going to get an email.
Yeah. One thing that's not on this list that I should mention, just because Andrew, you said it at the beginning, is pronunciation. People get so worked up over pronunciation, but there's so many ways to pronunciate things that it's kind of silly to hold on to that. So pronounce, however. So my first one is kind of like they're all kind of lame in a way, but my first one especially, and it has to do with eyes, with the way they put eyes in dinosaur. Even in models in museums, sometimes they still all put reptilian vertical slit eyes, like a cat's eye or something.
Yeah.
Which
not like that?
No, probably. Well, I mean, some probably most likely did, but now we know eyes kind of come in 3 broad categories, right? You have the vertical slits, like in lizards, which tend to be ambush predators, right? So vertical slits help cats see through grass and everything and track their prey. It works really good in that situation. And then horizontal pupils, that's like, goats and stuff, where that gives them more of a 360 view. So you're seeing a lot of dinosaur art now, paleo art being done with those horizontal slits for, browsers and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Goat eyes are so cool looking.
So they are.
That's trippy stuff right there.
Yeah. And like something like a T-Rex would probably just have pupils like a eagles, like a bird's.
Like big Astro Boy anime eyes.
Because I mean, it's a predator. It needed binocular vision. It had really good forward facing eyes. It had a lot of coverage where the 2 eyes overlap to give it good 3D tracking and stuff. So that's one thing. It's a little thing. Doesn't
Dino
really
eyes.
bother me, but dino eyes. The next one, number 4, is a bigger thing. You see this in some dinosaur art. It's called shrink wrapping. It's when they portray the dinosaurs. It's like they want to show off all the bone and musculature underneath. So these dinosaurs look all emaciated. You can see the dents in the skull and all this. And once you know what to look for, you see it everywhere. Whereas modern paleo art that's based on some more recent finds, kind of dinosaurs are getting a bit chunkier, especially T-Rex, where they look a little more rotund, like they're eating well.
Well, it's a little bit more acceptable in the fashion world nowadays. So
It is, yeah. If you watch that Apple TV show, Prehistoric Planet, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Showing T-Rex full bodied. It doesn't look like, because Jurassic Park's is a bit shrink wrapped. Hey, they look emaciated, skinny.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
get it because that's what we actually know that they look like. We're like, look, it looks like this. So
It's the bones, right?
throw a
And-
sheet
and
over it.
Yeah,
artists
they're just-
like to show how well they know the anatomy too, right? Like, oh, these shoulder blades are totally real, whereas you probably wouldn't see them. So that's number 4.
Mhm.
We get to number 3. This is a big one. I was actually complaining about it in a museum, and a paleontologist came and agreed with me. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So it's the question of wrists in dinosaurs. A lot of museums, well, it's because Jurassic Park has them too. So there's 2 ways of thinking about dinosaur hands. One is what they call bunny hands. You know, they're cute out in front of your body and they kind of slink over. Yeah.
Oh, like the Mr. Burns.
Right.
Arr.
Right.
Oh man.
But dinosaurs couldn't pronate their wrists. So if you hold your wrists out straight in front of you with your hands up,
So they're like this.
like upside down, and then we can rotate our wrists 180 degrees, right? Back and forth. And dinosaurs couldn't do that. Their wrists were locked in a grasping kind of motion sideways, like a bird wing, right? And even like the big sauropods, the big long neck dinosaurs, if you look at their thumb positions in the tracks, their wrists are essentially locked straight. And so Jurassic Park, when it came out, the raptors have like bunny hands, but they should be more like chicken wings. They should be sideways. I mean, that's what their bones are designed for. So like grasping sort of stuff. But we didn't know that until about the 2000s is when they started finding more evidence that dinosaurs had this particular wrist structure. So I can give Jurassic Park a pass, but not anything since 2000.
They did the best that they could.
I should have
They did.
retconned that.
With what they sort of did the new one.
Yeah, but they should go
Some
back
of
to the
the-
original one and start messing around with it like George
Remaster
Lucas.
it.
style.
Like George.
Yeah, I was going to say, give it to Lucasfilm.
And number 2, this goes back to my childhood when I was devastated to learn that dinosaurs didn't all live at the same time. T-Rex didn't fight Stegosaurus.
What?
Like
okay.
mixing up dinosaurs from different eras.
Come on
is the
now.
thing. Yeah.
This is you're gonna hurt me here, Ryan. Just a heads up. That's what science does. It hurts people.
It
so
does.
yeah.
Do you want to know something even worse about that one particular fact, though? Tyrannosaurus Rex lives closer to us than he did Stegosaurus.
Ugh.
That's just
So
That's-
there was no land before time.
Okay.
The
come
worst
on now.
fact. Just the
Come
worst.
on now.
yeah. This is really getting painful here.
I know it's sad, dark.
Just,
And then number 1 is feathers.
Feathers.
Which is it's a really interesting thing about dinosaurs that we've discovered over the last 30 years or so, is the proliferation of feathers. Both when they're used when there's no evidence there was feathers, and then when they don't put enough feathers on them. Like the new Jurassic Park did put the feathers on the one dinosaur, on a couple of them, but they didn't quite go far enough because we know the feathers went all the way to the snout around him, and they really did just look like big chickens and turkeys and
Oh my God.
like blue jays
I know.
with teeth.
Giant chickens?
just
Yeah.
giant magpies and ospreys.
No. Say chickens. Chicken sounds more delicious.
Giant chickens.
Well, yeah, and what's really cool about feathers and knowing about feathers is when a feather fossilizes, it does something that skin tissue doesn't do. It preserves the color. Not in the fossil. You can't see the color in the fossil of the feather. But when you look under a microscope, you see these things called melanosomes, which are these parts of the cell in a feather that show you the color of the feather. The melanosomes, each color has a specific shape. And you can identify that by looking at it. So by looking at a fossil feather, if you see like a square melanosome or whatever, you compare that to a modern day bird that has the same, and you can tell what color the feathers were. So this one guy, Microraptor, we know was black like a crow. It had iridescent black feathers with red feathers at the tip of its tail.
Oh, that's so rad.
That's cool. Yeah.
There's dinosaurs we actually know the color of today because feathers do this, which skin does not. So it's pretty cool. And so you would think you would see feathers kind of popping up more, but they still do a lot of Jurassic Park looking dinosaurs in the world of media. Even something like Triceratops had big quill feathers on its tails.
Really?
Tail. Yeah. Yeah. These big, so we don't know 100% for Triceratops, but its smaller cousin Protoceratops did have feathered quills on its tail. And Psittacosaurus, an earlier kind of version of it, also did. So they were in the genes of dinosaurs from the very beginning. But like T-Rex, for instance, there's no evidence that an adult Tyrannosaur had any feathers because the skin impressions we have of T-Rex are all scaly. But it might have had a mane of feathers. That's sort of what everybody's hoping to discover sometime soon.
Like a lion's mane, but on a T-Rex.
Yeah.
No feathers.
Yeah. There's a lot of art of T-Rex now with like turkey what do you call a little chin?
Like the gizzard? What is that thing called?
The little dangly thing.
Oh, gross.
The T-Rex might have, there's art being done with that. Speculative, but hey, it makes sense.
What is that thing called? The thing that hangs down from their beak. Like sometimes you see, it's a little tragic. You see old people that have one. You're like, what is that called?
They call it turkey
pouch?
neck, but
turkey neck.
Pouch.
Yeah. I keep my bingo chips in there. That's. Ugh.
So there's my top 5. And then probably the nerdiest one I could add, and this is my wife made me this because they're in that prehistoric planet show. T-Rex is swimming, and she's like, "That's so dumb. T-Rex couldn't swim."
yeah,
Here we go.
And
they're going to tread water.
yeah. So here's a bonus one. But dinosaurs were filled with air sacs, like kind of like our lungs, but they were all throughout their throat, their hips, their tails. So a T-Rex would have swam like a pro. He wouldn't even have to do anything. He'd just float, kick his feet.
You just have to get a head start and then like float like he's full of water, like he ate some water wings.
Yeah, it's basically it.
Just as long as he's headed in the right direction. I guess he would propel himself with his tail, obviously, but
Not those tiny little arms. You're not going to be doing like Michael Phelps kind of swimming at that point. Like,
well, no, he's got his tail to swim with. And hey, those arms might have been small, but they're as big as you.
Yeah, but it's in proportion though. Just a little.
That's true in proportions.
Yeah,
but it's dinosaurs were probably very good swimmers. In fact, Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3, it's gone through this huge change in the last few years where it's now much more alligator-like, and they think it was actually mostly aquatic, if not fully aquatic, which is kind of cool.
This does remind me. So I mentioned earlier that not all the dinosaurs aren't actually extinct. So can you clarify what that statement means?
Well, so today what I used to think of as a dinosaur, when I think dinosaur, like T-Rex and stuff, they're now called, when you hear scientists talk about them, they're called non-avian dinosaurs. Whereas the avian dinosaurs, which rose in the Jurassic period, we call birds today. But birds are all a member of the theropod branch of the dinosaur family tree. So birds are dinosaurs. And the way science names things, because I don't know exactly how it works, but the way that they name animals, the rules mean that birds now have to be called dinosaur.
So all birds are dinosaurs.
Birds are dinosaurs.
But not all dinosaurs are birds.
Correct.
there it is. That's the distinction right there.
Okay. Because I'm going to come back to this when we talk about our favorite dinosaur, and you're probably going to get mad at me. But anyways, that's
well.
okay.
Hold on. Since we're talking about birds again, I did find that the red part on the turkey, like under the neck, that's the wattle.
The wattle.
Yes.
Right.
And do you keep things in there, like is your bingo
wattle.
chips or?
I mean,
I
don't think that was the thing that turkeys did.
Okay. I think it's to attract ladies.
Yeah.
Look at my wattle.
I just want to show you something really quick here, Ryan, if I may. And I'm sure you've seen this before. Yeah. So I've got this here. This is actually something the Irish Madman shared with me a couple of years ago. It was like, if we drew if we drew modern animals like we draw dinosaurs, we wouldn't even be able to recognize them because oftentimes, like you said, the shrink wrap, you just put skin over top of the skeletal structure. Yeah. So, for example, here's the Jurassic Park dinosaur, and I'll put this link in the episode description. And here's what someone is like, this is what a Tyrannosaurus might have actually looked like, which is kind of adorable. But they're like, there's what it actually looked like, which I'm like, that looks like a legendary type Pokemon to me.
Well,
I don't know about you guys. I'm like, wow.
It's a little unfair because they put a Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park, and then underneath is a dinosaur called Therizinosaurus, which are very different. I mean, they're both theropod dinosaurs, but you can't get any more different. Theropod means bipedal, so 2 legs. T-Rex is a theropod.
Bunch of 2-leggers.
Blue Jay is, and so you can see a lot more coloration and feathers, which is, some of it's quite speculative, but bones can give us indication of where certain types of feathers were attached. So like Velociraptor, they've done analysis on its wrist bones and its arm bones to find where the certain sizes of feathers attach. But yeah, absolutely. We're starting to re-examine the way we look at dinosaurs today. And that's sort of where, like right now, one of the biggest debates is whether T-Rex had lips. It's starting really
amazing.
to lean towards yes, as far as I know in the community. But there was a paper published, I think, a year or two ago, all about that, and it makes sense if you're a predator like that.
This list here, putting skin over top of skeletons, the one here that we all need to see. First of all, the cat, but then human beings is just, so this is what if you just draped skin over top of us as just bones.
I know that guy.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
With a little tailbone in the back.
Little tiny tail.
Yeah. Alrighty. So that's going to take us to our opinions time. Now, what we're basically going to do here, just kind of go around the circle and be like, this is my favorite dinosaur, and this is why I like it.
I mean, the base thing is I'm pretty sure there's no one who's going to say that dinosaurs aren't cool, right? Like that would be one opinion, but I don't think we're going to have anybody who's like, nah, I guess they're kind of cool, but they kind of suck. You know?
It's anytime you want to get someone excited about dinosaurs, like if you go down to somewhere like Drumheller, like even someone who's like, I'm really not into this, are going to be like, this is awesome. Maybe momentarily awesome. They might not be like a lifelong dinosaur fan, but for that brief amount of time, they're going to be like, okay, this is pretty sweet.
There's just something so alien about them.
Yeah.
And to think that they were here, and those speculative questions of what color, what did they, like, that's what keeps me so interested all these years later.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. All right, well, how do we want to do this here? How do we want to go? Just randomizer? Just pick?
You want to do a randomizer? Or do you want to kick us off, Andy? Why don't you just...
Andrew, I'm curious.
Okay.
Let's get right to the meat of it.
So my favorite dinosaur, and in advance, I'm just going to point out that Ryan is going to have an issue with this. So my favorite dinosaur is a pterodactyl because it's so awesome and it makes that great sound. I know.
Oh,
now I know, and I'm using dinosaur in a very broad sense here.
You're referring to the archosaur group, not the dinosaur group.
I'd like to say that I pointed that out that he was going to have it, but it was very, very cool. And just visually, when I was a kid, that was the first one that really stuck out to me. Like just seeing the wings. And like maybe it was that just like Flintstones or whatever, but I was like, these things are incredible. And I just love how scary it is with like the teeth on the beak and just super, super cool. However, I acknowledge they're not actually dinosaurs, but like whatever, I'll
take it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's some really cool looking ones that have been found the last little bit with the weirdest crests. They look like a giant branch of a tree that's longer than its whole body. All this weird stuff. Yeah, they're neat. They're a neat group of critters.
They are. Nature is neat. Yeah. Nature is what they should call it.
Nature.
Real nature.
All right. Well, so Charlie, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh man, and I'm happy that he got name dropped a little bit earlier. But my fave is good old Tricycle Pops, aka Triceratops of the West Hampton ceratopses.
Okay.
just the idea, and I know no way it ever happened or could happen. Maybe it could happen. I don't know. If you go down the Jurassic Park route, that one day someone could blazingly ride a saddled up Triceratops into battle.
Oh, wow.
It's just one of the most amazing visuals that my mind can, that's it right there.
You ever watch that Dino Riders cartoon?
I was just going to say
That's
Dino
right.
Riders, man.
Awesome.
That's probably definitely where I got that idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I like Triceratops too.
Yeah. Tricycle pops.
Tricycloplots.
Yeah, totally. Try popsicle.
What
All
about
right,
you,
now
Ryan?
it's going to be hard
Me.
because there's so many, right?
You have to pick one.
No, I have one. I
Okay, you got
absolutely
one.
have one. All my students know this is my favorite dinosaur too. I go on about it all the time. It's called the Parasaurolophus. Parasaurolophus walkeri is its full name. And it's a duck-billed dinosaur, and it's got the big crest behind its head.
Okay.
And it's neat because it appears that the crest is like a giant trombone.
Oh, wow.
There it
Press
is.
air through and make these really loud rumbling calls. And that always fascinates me.
I think we actually have a clip of what that sounded like. That's him.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
the Trombonosaurus.
So, yeah,
But like,
that's-
okay, so he's like a duckbill. Well, can somebody pull up a picture? What did that look like? I got to see this.
Yeah, you got to share this thing
Not the
now.
most familiar.
I'm assuming that they could take a skull and like blast air through it, and like the air would go through the trombone on its head and make the sound. Is that how they're like? It makes this neat.
yeah, they've tried to do some of that stuff.
Oh
They
yeah,
did-
that guy.
there.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I just think he's neat looking. They're huge. The whole hadrosaur group of dinosaurs is pretty interesting with all their fancy head crests. And they're musicians. They're the musical
They're the
ones.
musicians of the dino
Absolutely.
world.
Nice.
So there's
Dig
my
That was very cool. I was not expecting that. I thought you would have like a scary, like the Bambi Raptor or something like that was going to like just rip apart a bunch of German Shepherds, right? Like just
well, probably if I go that route, if I had to give a top predator, it would be a thing called the Cryolophosaurus. It was this really weird looking theropod. It had this weird little fan on its head. And if I remember correctly, it's an Antarctic dinosaur too, which is pretty cool.
that's where Santa lives. I'm
That's where
telling you.
Santa lives. It's just neat.
Oh man. That's very cool. All right, well then, righty friendosauruses, thank you so much for swinging by for our little chinwag here. We will be back later in the month with one more special, and then season 5 is going to fire up on September 1st. In the erstwhile, please do feel free to check out our past cast and social media stuff at it'saconspiracypodcast.com. You can subscribe, tell a friend, leave a review, order some merch, or you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. That's fine. You're the captain of your fate. You are your own Dino King. You're the one in charge. Thanks again to Dino Ryan for joining us today, man. That was really fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
Mhm.
It was enjoyable. I can always talk about dinosaurs.
Yeah, buddy, we might have to do Dinosaurs 2, Electric Dino
Boogaloo.
Boog. Yeah. All right, well, take care. See you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please! God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!